The bedroom door burst open. "Don't drink it!" Maria's scream pierced through the mansion like a siren. "Please, Mr. Thompson, don't drink that tea." James Thompson's hand froze inches from the delicate china cup. His wife, Rebecca, stood beside the bed, tray trembling in her hands, her face draining of color. "What are you talking about?" Rebecca hissed, her voice sharp as broken glass. "Have you lost your mind?" But Maria didn't move. Tears streamed down her face as she pointed at the cup with a shaking finger. "I saw her put something in it, sir. A white powder, from a small bottle in her purse. I saw everything." The cup rattled against the saucer. Rebecca's sweet smile vanished, replaced by something cold and dangerous. James looked at the tea, then at his wife of 10 years, then back at the frightened maid who'd just accused her of poisoning him. What happened next would change all their lives forever. If you're enjoying this story, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss what happens next. Like this video and share it with someone who loves dramatic true stories. Now, let's continue. James Thompson was one of the wealthiest tech entrepreneurs in Seattle. His software company had revolutionized cloud computing, making him a billionaire before he turned 40. He lived in a sprawling estate in the hills overlooking the city, a modern mansion with floor-to-ceiling windows, an infinity pool, and gardens that looked like something from a magazine. When James drove through the city in his Tesla or Porsche, people recognized him. Tech blogs wrote about his innovations. Business students studied his strategies. He was living proof that the American dream was real. But money couldn't buy the one thing James wanted most: a happy marriage. He'd been married to Rebecca for a decade. She was stunning, a former model with perfect features and a smile that had once made his heart race. They'd met at a charity gala, and James had been instantly captivated. Rebecca seemed to sparkle in any room she entered. She wore designer clothes from Milan and Paris, carried purses that cost more than most people's cars, and her jewelry collection could fund a small school. To the outside world, they were the perfect power couple. Cameras loved them. Society pages featured their photos constantly. Seattle's golden couple, one magazine had called them. But behind the gates of their estate, the truth was very different. Rebecca had grown distant over the years. She no longer asked about his day or laughed at his jokes. When James came home exhausted from board meetings, she barely looked up from her phone. Conversations became shorter and colder. Affection disappeared completely. James tried everything to win back her warmth. He bought her a vacation home in Aspen. He surprised her with a vintage Ferrari. He arranged private shopping trips to New York and romantic getaways to the Maldives. Nothing worked. Rebecca's eyes remained empty, always wanting more, never satisfied. Maybe she just needs help managing everything, James thought. The mansion was enormous: 8 bedrooms, 6 bathrooms, a home theater, a gym. Perhaps she felt overwhelmed. So James decided to hire household help. He posted ads for a housekeeper, and dozens of applicants responded. Most had impressive resumes and references from wealthy families. But one applicant stood out, though not for the usual reasons. Her name was Maria Santos. Maria Santos arrived for her interview wearing a simple blue dress that had clearly seen better days. She was young, maybe 23, with kind eyes and calloused hands that spoke of hard work. She carried herself with quiet dignity despite her worn-out shoes. "Tell me about yourself," James said gently during the interview. Maria's story poured out. She came from a tiny farming town in eastern Washington, a place so small it barely appeared on maps. Her family had worked in the apple orchard for generations, earning just enough to survive. Life was hard but honest. Then her mother got sick. Cancer, the aggressive kind that required expensive treatments not available in their rural clinic. Maria's mother needed chemotherapy at the Seattle Cancer Institute, but the family had no insurance and no savings. "I had to do something," Maria explained, her voice steady despite the emotion in her eyes. "My mother raised me alone after my father died. She worked 3 jobs to put food on our table. I couldn't just watch her suffer. So Maria had taken a bus to Seattle with $200 and a backpack. She'd never been to a big city before. The noise, the crowds, the towering buildings, everything terrified her. For the first 3 nights, she slept in a homeless shelter, too scared to close her eyes fully. She'd spent every day walking the city, asking at restaurants and stores if they needed help. Most places said no. Some people were rude, treating her like she was invisible. But Maria kept trying because giving up meant her mother would die. "I don't have fancy experience," Maria admitted to James. "But I'm honest. I work hard. I learn fast. And I really, really need this job, sir. My mother's next treatment is in 2 weeks, and I'm running out of time." Something about Maria touched James deeply. Maybe it was her honesty, so rare in his world of corporate politics and fake smiles. Maybe it was the way she talked about her mother with such fierce love. Or maybe it was simply that her eyes didn't hold any hidden agenda. She wasn't trying to impress him or manipulate him. She just needed help. "When can you start?" James asked. Maria's eyes went wide. You're hiring me?" "Yes. You can start Monday. I'll pay you well enough to cover your mother's treatments." Maria literally fell to her knees, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you. Oh my God, thank you so much. I promise I won't let you down. I'll work harder than anyone." "Thank you." James felt good about his decision. He'd helped someone who truly needed it. What he didn't know was that this decision would soon save his life. Maria's first day at the Thompson mansion was overwhelming. She'd never seen such wealth. The kitchen had appliances she didn't recognize. The bathrooms had heated floors. There were rooms that seemed to serve no purpose except looking beautiful. But Maria wasn't intimidated. She watched YouTube tutorials on her phone to learn how to use the fancy washing machine and the robotic vacuum. She studied recipes online to cook the kind of meals James enjoyed. Within a week, she'd figured everything out. Maria worked with incredible dedication. She arrived at 6 every morning and didn't leave until everything was spotless. She cleaned until the marble floors reflected like mirrors. She cooked meals that reminded James of his grandmother's home cooking. Simple, delicious, made with care. She never complained, never asked for breaks, never cut corners. James was impressed. "You're the best housekeeper we've ever had," he told her one morning. Maria smiled. "I'm just grateful for the opportunity, Mr. Thompson." But not everyone appreciated Maria's hard work. Rebecca watched the new housekeeper with suspicious eyes from day one. She didn't like how humble Maria was. She didn't like how James complimented Maria's cooking. She didn't like the way Maria made the house feel warm and welcoming, something Rebecca herself had failed to do. Rebecca started treating Maria cruelly when James wasn't around. She'd make Maria clean the same bathroom 3 times, claiming to see dirt that wasn't there. She complained that dinner was too spicy, then the next night complained it was too bland. She'd accidentally spill wine on freshly mopped floors and demand Maria clean it immediately. "You missed a spot," Rebecca would say with a cold smile, pointing at an invisible smudge. Maria never complained. She just worked harder, stayed polite, and tried to avoid Rebecca as much as possible. Then, about 3 months after Maria started working there, something strange began happening. A man started visiting the mansion during the day, always when James was at work. He was tall and handsome, always dressed in expensive suits, driving a BMW. The first time he arrived, Rebecca introduced him to Maria casually. "This is Daniel," Rebecca said. "He's my cousin. He's visiting from California." But Maria noticed something immediately. Cousins didn't look at each other the way Rebecca and Daniel looked at each other. Their eyes held secrets. Their smiles were too intimate. When they thought no one was watching, Daniel would touch Rebecca's hand in a way that made Maria's stomach turn. This wasn't family. This was something else entirely. Daniel started coming more frequently. Once a week became twice a week. Then 3 times. Then nearly every day. He'd arrive around 10 in the morning, shortly after James left for work. Sometimes they'd sit in the living room laughing too loudly. Sometimes they'd disappear into the guest bedroom and lock the door for hours. Maria's heart grew heavy. She knew she was witnessing something wrong, but what could she do? If she told James, Rebecca would deny everything. She'd call Maria a liar and fire her. Then Maria's mother wouldn't get her treatments. So Maria stayed quiet and kept her head down, hoping the situation would somehow resolve itself. But things were about to get much, much worse. Maria tried to stay invisible whenever Daniel visited. She'd clean the upstairs rooms or work in the garden, anywhere far from wherever Rebecca and Daniel were. But sometimes, being in the wrong place at the wrong time meant hearing things you wished you hadn't. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. Maria was dusting the hallway near the living room when she heard voices. She froze. Rebecca and Daniel didn't know she was there. "When are you going to leave him?" Daniel's voice was low and urgent. "I can't just leave," Rebecca replied. "If I divorce James, I get nothing. The prenup makes sure of that. We need a different plan." "What kind of plan?" Rebecca laughed softly. It was a sound that made Maria's blood run cold. "A plan where James isn't in the picture anymore. Where he can't stop us. Where all his money becomes mine, and mine becomes ours." Silence. Then Daniel spoke carefully. "That's dangerous, Rebecca." "Are you sure?" "I'm tired of pretending," Rebecca said firmly. "I'm tired of playing the devoted wife. I want to be free. With you. With all that money. Do you understand what I'm saying?" Maria's hand started shaking so badly she nearly dropped her duster. Were they planning to hurt James? To kill him? She pressed herself against the wall, trying not to breathe too loudly. She wanted to run straight to James and tell him everything. But fear paralyzed her. What if they denied it? What if Rebecca convinced James that Maria was crazy or jealous? What if Maria lost her job before her mother finished treatment? Days passed. Maria watched Rebecca more carefully now, noticing things she'd missed before. Rebecca had become very interested in James's schedule lately. "What time is your conference call tomorrow?" Rebecca would ask sweetly at breakfast. "When will you be home from the investors' meeting?" she'd inquire, suddenly affectionate. James seemed pleased that his wife was finally taking interest in his life again. He didn't see what Maria saw, that Rebecca was planning something terrible. Then one evening, Maria saw Rebecca on the phone in the garden. Maria was watering the roses nearby. Rebecca didn't notice her. "I found it," Rebecca said into the phone, her voice excited. "The perfect thing. No taste, no smell. It'll look like a heart attack. Natural causes. No one will suspect anything. We just need to wait for the right moment." Maria felt sick. She was certain now. Rebecca was planning to poison James. She was going to murder her own husband for money and freedom. That night, Maria couldn't sleep. She sat on her small bed in the servants' quarters, thinking about her mother back home. Her mother who was getting better thanks to the treatments Maria's salary paid for. Her mother who always told her, "Evil wins when good people do nothing." Could Maria stay silent while an innocent man was murdered? But if she spoke up and was wrong, or if no one believed her, she'd lose everything. Her job, her mother's treatments, everything. Maria prayed for hours. "Please, God, show me what to do. Give me courage. Protect Mr. Thompson." For 2 weeks, nothing happened. Daniel stopped visiting the house. Rebecca acted almost normal. Maria started to wonder if maybe she'd misunderstood what she'd heard. Maybe they were just talking about divorce and splitting assets, not murder. But deep down, Maria knew the truth. Something bad was coming. Then, on a Friday afternoon, everything changed. James came home early from work. He looked exhausted and stressed, his tie loosened, his hair messy. "I have a terrible migraine," he told Rebecca. "The Henderson deal fell through. We lost millions. I need to lie down and think." He went straight to the bedroom without eating dinner. Maria noticed Rebecca's eyes light up when James mentioned his headache. It was a flash of something dark and excited that disappeared quickly, but Maria saw it. "Maria," Rebecca said sweetly, too sweetly, "go upstairs and clean the guest bathrooms. They need attention." "Yes, ma'am," Maria replied, but her instincts screamed danger. She went upstairs but didn't go to the guest bathrooms. Instead, she positioned herself at the top of the staircase where she could see down into the kitchen through the railing bars. She watched. Rebecca went into the kitchen and closed the door, but not all the way. There was a small gap. Maria could see through it. Rebecca took out James's favorite mug, a blue ceramic one he used for tea every evening. She filled the electric kettle and set it to boil. She prepared the tea bag and added sugar, stirring slowly. Then Rebecca looked around carefully, checking to make sure she was alone. She walked to her designer purse on the counter and pulled out something small, a tiny glass bottle with a white cap. Rebecca held it up to the light, examining it. A smile crossed her face, cold and satisfied. Maria's heart stopped. This was it. This was the moment. Rebecca unscrewed the cap. Inside was white powder. She tilted the bottle over James's mug. The powder poured out, falling into the hot tea. Rebecca used almost all of it, then quickly screwed the cap back on and hid the bottle in her purse. She stirred the tea thoroughly, dissolving the powder completely. Then she lifted the mug to her nose and smelled it. Satisfied, she placed it on a tray with a napkin. Maria's mind raced. She had to stop this. But how? If she ran down now, Rebecca would hide the mug. If she went to get James, Rebecca would make new tea later. Maria needed to catch Rebecca in the act. Needed James to see with his own eyes what his wife was doing. But there was no time for a perfect plan. Rebecca picked up the tray and walked toward the bedroom. Her heels clicked on the floor, a countdown to murder. Maria ran. She flew down the stairs, not caring about being quiet, not caring about anything except stopping James from drinking that poison tea. Rebecca reached the bedroom door. She knocked softly. "Come in," James's tired voice said from inside. Rebecca pushed the door open, carrying the deadly tea with a loving smile on her face. "Darling," she said sweetly, "I brought you tea. It'll help with your migraine. Just relax and drink it all." James smiled weakly at her. "Thank you, honey. You're so thoughtful." He reached for the cup. His fingers were inches away from it. Then the door burst open. "Don't drink it!" Maria's scream filled the mansion like thunder. She stood in the doorway, chest heaving, face wet with tears, hands shaking. "Please, Mr. Thompson, don't drink that tea. Please." James's hand froze in midair. He pulled it back, confusion flooding his face. "What? Maria, what's wrong?" Rebecca's sweet expression vanished instantly. The mask fell away, revealing rage underneath. Her hands trembled, making the cup rattle on the tray. "How dare you burst in here?" Rebecca's voice was venomous. "Have you lost your mind? Get out. You're fired. Get out now." But Maria didn't move. She locked eyes with James. "Sir, please listen to me. Your wife put something in that tea. I saw her. I was watching from upstairs. She took a small bottle from her purse, a bottle with white powder. She poured almost all of it into your tea. I saw everything, Mr. Thompson. I swear on my mother's life. The tea isn't safe." The room went completely silent. James looked at the tea in Rebecca's trembling hands. He looked at his wife's face, now pale as death. He looked back at Maria, who stood there crying but resolute. "She's lying." Rebecca's voice rose to a shriek. "Can't you see? She's jealous of me. She wants you for herself. This stupid girl from nowhere is trying to destroy our marriage. Don't believe her, James. Please. I'm your wife. Your wife." But James had built a billion-dollar company by reading people. He'd negotiated with hostile board members and dishonest partners. He knew how to spot deception, and everything about Rebecca screamed guilt. Her eyes darted around like a trapped animal. Sweat formed on her forehead despite the cool air conditioning. Her tongue kept licking her lips nervously. Her breathing was too fast. These weren't the reactions of an innocent woman being falsely accused. James stood up slowly from the bed. His migraine was forgotten. He walked toward Rebecca with measured steps. "Give me the cup," he said quietly. His voice was calm, but absolute. "Give it to me right now." "No, this is ridiculous. I'm your wife, James. How can you believe her over me?" Rebecca clutched the tray tighter to her chest. "Give me that cup, Rebecca." James's voice grew harder. "I won't ask again. You can't just. I'm your wife. You should trust me. This is insulting." James grabbed the tray. Rebecca tried to hold on, but James was stronger. He pulled it from her hands. Some tea sloshed over the sides, spattering on the carpet. James held the mug up, examining it. It looked normal, smelled normal. But if Maria was telling the truth, this ordinary-looking tea contained death. "Sir," Maria's voice trembled. She took the bottle from her purse. The small bottle with the white powder. "If you check her bag, you'll find it. It's right there on the dresser." Please check it. Then you'll know I'm telling the truth. James turned to look at Rebecca's expensive designer purse sitting on the dresser. Rebecca's face went from red to white in an instant. You can't go through my personal things. That's private. You have no right. But James was already walking to the purse. Rebecca lunged for it, but James pushed her aside gently. He opened the bag and searched through it. Makeup, car keys, credit cards, phone. His fingers touched something small and hard at the bottom. He pulled out a small glass bottle with a white cap. Inside was white powder. James held it up. His hand was shaking now. What is this, Rebecca? What is this in your purse? Rebecca's mouth opened and closed. No words came out. Her face showed pure terror. She was caught, and she knew it. Rebecca dropped to her knees, grabbing James's legs. The proud, arrogant woman transformed into something desperate and pathetic. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. I don't know what I was thinking. Please, James, please have mercy. Don't call the police. Think of our 10 years together. I made a mistake. Please. James pulled away from her like she was something contaminated. 10 years, he said quietly. 10 years I loved you. I gave you everything. And you tried to murder me. Why? What did I do to deserve this? His voice cracked. The betrayal hurt worse than any poison could. James pulled out his phone and called his personal physician, Dr. Chun. I need you here immediately. Emergency. I need something tested. Please come now. Dr. Chin heard the urgency in James's voice and promised to arrive within minutes. Next, James called his attorney and his head of security. Something terrible had happened, he told them. Come to the house now. While they waited, James sat down heavily in a chair. He stared at the mug of poisoned tea, at the small bottle of powder, at his wife sobbing on the floor. His entire world was collapsing. Maria stood quietly in the corner. She felt terrible for James, watching his heart break in real time. James looked at her. Maria, thank you. You saved my life today. I'll never forget that. Please stay. I need you to tell everyone exactly what you saw. Yes, sir, Maria whispered. Dr. Chun arrived first. He was an older man with gray hair who'd been James's doctor for 15 years. When he saw the scene, Rebecca crying on the floor, Maria looking frightened, James looking devastated, he knew something terrible had occurred. James handed him the tea and the bottle. Please test these immediately. Tell me what's in them. Dr. Chun examined the bottle, his expression growing grave. Mr. Thompson, this looks very dangerous. I need to run tests in my lab. Give me an hour. He left quickly with the evidence. James's attorney arrived next, a sharp woman named Patricia Wong. When she heard what had happened, her face became serious. James, this is attempted murder. A very serious crime. We need to call the police immediately. The head of security, a former police officer named Marcus, agreed. Boss, she tried to kill you. She belongs in prison. Let me call Seattle PD right now. James held up his hand. Wait, I want the test results first. I want scientific proof. While they waited, James turned to Maria. Tell me everything. From the beginning. Everything you've seen and heard. Maria sat down nervously and told her story. About Daniel, who Rebecca claimed was her cousin, but clearly wasn't. About how he visited almost daily when James was at work. About the locked doors and secret smiles. About the conversation Maria had overheard about getting rid of James and taking his money. About Rebecca's phone call mentioning poison that would look like a heart attack. James listened, his jaw clenched, his hands gripping the chair arms until his knuckles turned white. So there was another man. Of course there was. The betrayal was even deeper than he'd imagined. Adultery and attempted murder. Exactly 1 hour later, Dr. Chin returned. His face was grim. He carried papers with laboratory results. James, he said quietly, that tea contains cyanide, one of the deadliest poisons in the world. If you drunk that entire cup, you would have died within 1 to 2 hours. It would have looked exactly like a heart attack. Very clever. Very deadly. The room erupted. Marcus immediately got on his phone. This is Marcus Chun, calling from the Thompson residence. We have an attempted murder with physical evidence, lab results, and witnesses. Send officers immediately. Within 20 minutes, 3 Seattle police officers arrived at the mansion. They were led by Detective Sarah Mitchell, a serious woman with sharp eyes who'd worked homicide for 15 years. She listened as James explained everything. She listened to Maria's testimony. She examined the laboratory results from Dr. Chun. She looked at the bottle of cyanide and the poison tea. She photographed everything carefully. "This is one of the clearest cases of attempted murder I've seen," Detective Mitchell said. "Mrs. Thompson, you're under arrest for the attempted murder of your husband." 2 officers lifted Rebecca from the floor where she'd been sobbing. They put handcuffs on her wrists. The metal clicked shut with finality. Her expensive bracelets jangled against the cheap steel handcuffs. Rich woman brought low by her own evil deeds. "Wait," James said. "There's someone else involved. A man named Daniel. He's been having an affair with my wife. They planned this together. He comes here regularly when I'm at work." Detective Mitchell's eyes sharpened. "Full name and address." Rebecca looked at James with tears streaming down her face. For a moment, something like regret crossed her features. "Daniel Morrison," she said quietly. "Garden Heights Apartments, Unit 812. Detective Mitchell radioed for backup immediately. "Send units to Garden Heights Apartments, Unit 812. Suspect name, Daniel Morrison. Involved in attempted murder conspiracy. Approach with caution." The radio crackled back confirmation. The police led Rebecca out of the bedroom. She walked slowly, head hanging low, expensive heels clicking on the marble floor one last time. As she passed Maria, Rebecca stopped. "You're braver than I ever was," Rebecca said quietly. "You did what was right even though you could have lost everything. I did what was wrong even though I had everything." Then she was gone, led away to the police car waiting outside. Within an hour, the police called back. They'd arrested Daniel. He tried to run when he saw them coming, jumping out a back window, but they'd caught him in the parking lot. When they searched his apartment, they found text messages between him and Rebecca. Plans about the poison, dreams about splitting James's wealth, evidence of their affair. Everything the police needed to prove conspiracy. James sat in his chair, staring at nothing. The adrenaline that had kept him standing was wearing off. The reality hit him like a physical blow. He'd been minutes away from death. If Maria hadn't been brave enough to scream out, he'd be dead or dying right now. Dr. Chun gave him something to calm his nerves. "You're safe now, James. Thanks to Maria, you're alive." Everyone looked at Maria with respect and gratitude. "I just did what anyone should do," Maria said quietly. "I couldn't let an innocent man die when I knew the truth." But Patricia, the attorney, shook her head. "Most people would have stayed silent to protect their job. What you did took tremendous courage." The news exploded across Seattle. By the next morning, every newspaper had the story on the front page. Tech billionaire's wife arrested for attempted murder. Housekeeper saves employer's life with brave warning. The poison tea plot exposed. Television news showed footage of Rebecca and Daniel being taken to jail. Reporters camped outside James's mansion, wanting interviews. The story was too dramatic to ignore. Social media erupted with discussions. Some people said they'd always known Rebecca was fake, that her smile never reached her eyes. Others were shocked. The couple had seemed so perfect. Everyone agreed that Maria was a true hero. Requests for interviews flooded in. Television shows wanted Maria to appear. Newspapers wanted her story. But Maria refused them all. She didn't want fame or attention. She just wanted to do her work and help her mother. James respected her wishes. He told Patricia to keep all reporters away from Maria. She deserved peace and privacy. Days turned into weeks. The court case began. The courtroom was packed every single day. Rebecca sat in the defendant's box wearing a simple prison uniform. Her expensive clothes were gone. Her jewelry was gone. Her makeup was gone. She looked small and defeated. The prosecutor presented the evidence methodically. The bottle of cyanide. The laboratory results. Dr. Chin testified about how deadly the dose was. Maria took the witness stand and told her story clearly and honestly. The jury deliberated for only 3 hours. Guilty on all counts. Rebecca was sentenced to 25 years in prison for attempted murder. Daniel received 20 years for conspiracy. Both would be eligible for parole after serving at least 15 years. As the verdict was read, Rebecca closed her eyes. Justice had been served. The divorce proceedings were swift. The prenuptial agreement James had insisted on years ago meant Rebecca got nothing. No money, no property, no assets. Everything remained with James. But James found himself caring very little about the money. He nearly lost his life. That put everything else in perspective. One evening, about a month after the trial ended, James called Maria into his study. "Maria, sit down, please," he said gently. Maria sat nervously, wondering if something was wrong. James smiled. "I want to thank you properly for what you did. You saved my life at great risk to yourself. You could have stayed silent and kept your job. Instead, you chose courage and honesty." "I just did the right thing, sir," Maria said quietly. "Most people don't do the right thing when it's hard," James replied. "I want to give you something." He handed her an envelope. Maria opened it. Inside was a check for $100,000. Her eyes went wide. "Mr. Thompson, I can't. This is too much." "It's not enough," James said firmly. "But it's a start. Use it to finish your mother's treatments. Pay off any debts. Get a place for both of you to live comfortably." Tears streamed down Maria's face. "Thank you. Thank you so much." "There's more," James continued. "I'm establishing a scholarship fund in your name, the Maria Santos Courage Scholarship. It will help young people from rural areas get education and job training. Your bravery will help others for years to come." Maria couldn't speak. She just cried tears of gratitude and joy. 6 months later, Maria's life had transformed completely. Her mother's cancer treatments were finished. The doctors declared her in full remission. Maria had moved her mother to Seattle, and they now live in a modest but comfortable apartment near the University District. It wasn't a mansion, but it was home, filled with love and laughter. Maria continued working for James, but their relationship had evolved. He no longer saw her as just a housekeeper. She was a trusted friend, someone whose judgment and character he valued deeply. James had changed too. The betrayal had wounded him, but it had also taught him important lessons about trust, about valuing character over appearance, about what really mattered in life. He sold the mansion. It held too many painful memories. He bought a smaller, warmer home in a different neighborhood. He donated millions to cancer research in honor of Maria's mother. He became more involved in charitable work, helping working-class families get access to health care and education. The Maria Santos Courage Scholarship had already helped 15 young people from rural communities get job training and education. Their success stories reminded James that good could come from even the darkest situations. One afternoon, Maria was preparing lunch when James came into the kitchen. "Maria, I have news," he said with a smile. "I've been talking with my board of directors. We're creating a new position at my company, Director of Community Outreach. It would involve developing programs to help underprivileged communities access technology and education." "That sounds wonderful, sir," Maria said. "I want you to take the position," James said. Maria froze. "What?" "Mr. Thompson, I don't have any college degree or business experience, or—" "You have something better," James interrupted. "You have integrity, courage, and a deep understanding of what it means to struggle. You have compassion and common sense. The rest you can learn. I'll make sure you get whatever training you need." "What do you say?" Maria thought about her mother, about her little village back home, about all the people who struggled like she had struggled. "Yes," she said, tears of joy in her eyes. "Yes, I'll do it." As for Rebecca and Daniel, they remained in prison. Rebecca spent her days in a small cell, remembering the mansion she'd thrown away, the wealth she'd tried to steal, the life she'd destroyed through greed and betrayal. She had decades to think about her choices. Meanwhile, Maria Santos, the girl from nowhere who'd come to the city with nothing but courage and honesty, was changing lives and proving that character, not circumstances, determines who we really are. James often thought about that terrible day when Maria had burst into his bedroom screaming. That moment of courage had saved his life and, in a way, had saved both of them. Some people are destroyed by betrayal. Others are refined by it, becoming stronger and wiser. James had chosen the second path. And thanks to a brave young woman who refused to stay silent in the face of evil, he was alive to walk it. The end. If you made it this far, you're amazing. Please subscribe to our channel for more incredible stories like this one. Hit that like button, share this video with your friends and family, and drop a comment below telling us what you learned from Maria's courage. What would you have done in her situation? Let us know. And don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss our next video. Thanks for watching, and remember, sometimes the bravest thing you can do is speak up when it matters most. See you in the next story.